What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here, and welcome to our daily show where we discuss the fourth stimulus check update, the upcoming stimulus package update, the $3.5 trillion stimulus package, the infrastructure package, which is supposed to be voted on Thursday. However, we have some Democrats that are saying they might vote against that package because the stimulus package is supposed to be voted on before then. We're actually going to have an update from Congressman Gottheimer on the status on that, whether the infrastructure package will come to a vote on Thursday or if the stimulus package will be voted on before them. We're also going to be hearing from Senator Mitch McConnell and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer in this battle, them actually debating against each other. Ooh, that is a hot one. We're going to have that one in this video, going over the debt limit ceiling, potentially raising that, and the government shutdown, which we're headed towards on September 30th at midnight, unless they can come to an agreement, and the debt limit ceiling, which the government is headed towards a potential first ever default, where the government will run out of money and will not be able to pay its debt limit obligations and even the interest on all of the past debt that the government owes on all its debt obligations for basically everything that the government owes. If they can't come to a debt limit ceiling agreement, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen says that could come as early as October 18th for a first ever government default. That's an estimate. That doesn't mean that couldn't come earlier than that. So yeah, we got a lot to cover here today. We're going to be hearing about all these different things here in this episode. So buckle your seatbelts. Don't forget to hit the like button for us down below. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to subscribe down below. It's completely free to do so. First, let's hear from Congressman Gottheimer on the potential voting on Thursday on the physical infrastructure package and what the Democrats are going to do on this, and whether or not the Democrats are going to vote yes on this. Some Democrats are saying that the stimulus package needs to be voted on before this. So here's what Congressman Gottheimer has to say about this. Check this out.
The House Speaker is now doing the thing that you wanted her to do, to bring up the bipartisan infrastructure bill for a vote first, delink it from reconciliation. So you are now in the driver's seat. So tell us how this thing's going to progress.
Well, I'd say the country's in the driver's seat, right? Because this is something that Democrats and Republicans have come together around getting in a bipartisan infrastructure bill that came out of the Senate with 69 votes in August. And now we're going to get it to the floor this week. And, as you know, no one's better than Speaker Nancy Pelosi at bringing everyone together here and uniting people. And right now, the party's going to be united on Thursday. We're going to vote for this infrastructure bill, get it passed, get it to the president's desk, and get shovels in the ground. So, there's a lot of jobs on the line. There's resources to fight climate change and deal with bridges and tunnels and roads. Very important for me in Jersey and of course, all across the country. So the momentum is building.
There is a vast gap between your optimism and the vote count. You have the Congresswoman Jayapal, chair of the Progressive Caucus. She says that dozens of her members are prepared to vote no on infrastructure without an agreement on reconciliation first. Even with some GOP support, that doesn't get you to the majority that you need. So what's your whip count? What is giving you this sense of optimism?
Because I believe at the end of the day, especially how critically important this is to the president's agenda, of course, not just to the country, the fact is we need to get this done. And when this comes to the floor and the speaker brings it to the floor, the votes will be there. I think it'll be very hard to press the no button on 2 million hardworking men and women in labor jobs and fighting climate change and fixing our roads and our bridges and our tunnels. I just don't believe when you have the largest infrastructure package in a century sitting there waiting for action that folks will vote no. And listen, I understand the people's consternation, and that's why we're working so hard to also get a reconciliation package done, working around the clock to make that happen. And I'm completely committed to so much in there, given what's in there to fight climate and reinstating the state and local tax deduction and child care. There's so many important priorities there as well. But the bottom line is we have a bill that's sitting here waiting for action that our country needs. We just had Hurricane Ida hit us in New Jersey so hard. There's resources here to fight climate change and climate resiliency. How do you vote against that? And so that's why I believe ultimately when the speaker brings it to the floor, we'll get the votes there.
Yeah, and there's still a question of where these votes are going to come from. Do you have any sense of what your fellow moderates, these self-professed moderates in the Senate, Manchin and Sinema, specifically want to see in the reconciliation package? Because as of this afternoon, Senator Manchin is still unable to give a price tag that he'd be comfortable with.
You know, I don't feel comfortable speaking for them, but I'll just tell you, I'm talking to them all the time, and I know everyone's working incredibly hard to get to a good place. And that's the whole thing. We're all committed to getting there on reconciliation, and you know, I keep saying that because I think it's really important people understand that we will get there. That said, you know, in the meantime, we shouldn't. These are two separate pieces of legislation, and we shouldn't. And I don't believe a faction of Democrats should vote down a key priority of the president's right now. Obviously, the country needs the win. People coming together. This is exactly the kind of bipartisan governance the president talked about in his inauguration speech and ran on. So we're going to deliver here for the country. We have to. And again, because the speaker is the best at counting votes and bringing folks together, I have total optimism that she'll unite us. We'll get it done. We'll have Democrats and Republicans voting for this bill on Thursday, and then we'll keep working and get done our reconciliation package as well.
I was going to ask you that. Are you committed to working on and voting for the reconciliation bill once it's ready? Because as you know, the concern among progressives is that if the bipartisan infrastructure bill passes, then centrist Democrats like yourself would try to shrink the reconciliation bill or just outright kill it.
I mean, part of what Speaker Pelosi said when we all voted, you know, in August, every single Democrat in the House voted to bring the infrastructure bill to the floor this week, and that's why we're doing it, we're debating it, and going to vote on it. But part of what we also said is that we should vote on a reconciliation bill when we can get to agreement between the Senate and the House. We can get to 51 in the Senate, you know, 50 Democrats plus the Vice President. It's part of what Speaker Pelosi also said, and I'm completely with her on that. You know, I'm going to be supporting reconciliation when it comes over here, and I've said things like SALT are a critical part of that, and of course the state and local tax deduction to get taxes down for people where I live and get child care done and fight climate change. Those are all critically important, so I'm going to be there. But the question right now is, can we get everybody to do what we should be doing, which is back in the president's critical part of his legislation on this Thursday, support this bipartisan infrastructure package that had 69 senators behind it, including 50 Democrats, everyone from Bernie Sanders to Joe Manchin, as well as Mitch McConnell and the 19 Republicans, right? How could you know, it just doesn't make sense to you know, hold one bill hostage for another. These are two separate bills. Let's get them done, and let's start this week with a great win for the country.
Wow, so it looks like things have taken a turn again. It looks like the physical infrastructure package is going to be voted on Thursday, but it looks like the stimulus package will not. I mean, this kind of was the case, but a lot of progressive Democrats were pushing to have the stimulus package voted before Thursday. It looks like it will not be ready, maybe. From what he said, it says they're still working on the stimulus package 24/7 to get it ready. But if the stimulus package is not ready before Thursday, it says that he says they're going to vote on the physical infrastructure package on Thursday. But as you've seen, the announcer there or the interviewer there says they're going to vote on the physical infrastructure package either way. And the Progressive Caucus, there's definitely going to be some progressive Democrats that are going to vote no on the physical infrastructure package. And the question is, will the physical infrastructure package pass or will it fail? And we're going to have some Republicans that vote yes on this. Remember, this is a bipartisan vote. The question is, how many Republicans will vote yes and how many Democrats will vote no? Remember that when this vote passed in the Senate, all the Democrats voted yes, and only 19 Republicans voted yes. Mitch McConnell did vote yes on this bipartisan physical infrastructure package, but the leader of the Republicans in the House is voting no. So the question is, will this vote pass? Because now we're going to have some Democrats voting no. We're not going to have all the Democrats voting yes. So will this vote pass on Thursday? Will the stimulus package be ready before then? Will they vote on the stimulus package the same day? Yeah, a lot of questions to be answered. Things are moving fast. Now that kind of leads us to, on Thursday will also be a government shutdown if they can't come to an agreement on a government shutdown ahead of time by the same day on Thursday. Remember that the Republicans just last night voted no on a bill in the Senate, which basically means the Republicans voted to let the government shut down and to also let the government have a first ever default, as all the Republican senators voted no to this bill to let the government default and to let the government shut down. We have never had a government default ever. Here is both Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer from the Democrats and Mitch McConnell basically arguing against each other in the Senate. You're going to hear them both kind of give their own counterpoints against each other. Now, keep in mind that you're going to hear Chuck Schumer give his point of view, then you're going to hear Mitch McConnell give his point of view. And you got to keep in mind that they're both going to kind of give you their point of view, which is heavily swayed to a Democratic point of view and to a Republican point of view. Yeah, so here it is. You can let me know your thoughts in the comments. But yeah, can't make this stuff up. Here it is.
Mr. President.
The Majority Leader.
We in a quorum?
We are not.
Well, Mr. President, last night, Senate Republicans voted unanimously to make a default and a shutdown far more likely, and in doing so, solidified themselves as the party of default, the party that says America does not pay its debts. Now, despite yesterday's stunning display of obstruction, the fact remains that we need to raise the debt ceiling, and in a few moments, I will offer a way forward for us to avoid causing unnecessary and catastrophic default on the debt. Over the last 2 days, the Republican leader has repeatedly cited an instance in the mid-2000s during which Republicans held full control of the government and voted by themselves to increase the debt limit. Here's what he said. That is exactly the same situation we're in now. Exactly the same situation we're in now. Now, the Senate was able to raise the debt ceiling at that time because the then Republican Majority Leader made a consent request to this body that cleared the way for the Senate to increase the debt limit by a majority threshold instead of requiring 60 votes to break a filibuster. The minority party, under this agreement, was able to vote no, which is what they claim they want to do. And the majority party was able to approve a debt limit extension and prevent a catastrophe. So we are proposing the same thing today. The same thing the leader cited and said the situation is exactly the same. Simply allow for a simple majority threshold to raise the debt ceiling and avoid this needless catastrophe that Republicans have steered us toward. We are simply asking Senator McConnell to live by his own example. We have given the Republicans what they want, and now the ball is in their court. Let's see if Republicans truly want what they say they want. We're not asking them to we're not asking them to vote yes. If Republicans want to vote to not pay the debts they helped incur, they can all vote no. We're just asking Republicans, get out of the way. Get out of the way when you are risking the full faith and credit of the United States to play a nasty political game. We can bring this to a resolution today. Using the drawn-out and convoluted reconciliation process is far too risky, far too risky. Too many American families are at stake. Far better for us to solve this problem right here and right now. And so, Mr. President, as if in legislative session, I ask unanimous consent that at a time to be determined by the Majority Leader, following consultation with the Republican leader, the Senate proceed to the consideration of S. 2868, a bill to suspend the debt limit, which was introduced earlier today, that there be 2 hours for debate equally divided and controlled between the two leaders or their designees, that upon the use or yielding back of time, the bill be considered read a third time, and the Senate vote on the passage of the bill with no intervening action or debate.
Is there objection?
Reserving the right to object.
All right, now I just want to note one thing here when you're going to hear Mitch McConnell speak, because Mitch McConnell is going to give you his heavily Republican viewpoint. But I just want to make one thing clear here, that the Democrats have stated time and time again that this next stimulus package and the physical infrastructure package are both fully paid for. In fact, we have some Democratic senators that are demanding that this $3.5 trillion stimulus package, which is probably going to end up being less than that, it's probably going to end up being like $3 trillion or $2.5 trillion or somewhere in that range. They're demanding that it be fully paid for by taxing the wealthy, taxing corporations, using unused stimulus money, and forcing pharmaceutical companies to lower their prescription drug prices, which is going to save the U.S. government like $700 billion. They're going to use that savings to pay for the stimulus package. All that money is going to be used to pay for the stimulus package. So it's not going to add trillions of dollars to the deficit. Okay. Now, stimulus package 1, 2, and 3 did go to the deficit, just so we're all being fair here and everybody knows the full details here. Stimulus package 1 and 2 was underneath Trump. Stimulus package 3 was underneath Biden, just so everybody's, I'm just giving you the fair details here. But Mitch McConnell's going to kind of say here and try to say that this next stimulus package is going to go, the $3.5 trillion is going to go to the deficit, all $3.5 trillion. That's not the case, but I just wanted to point that out here. But here's what Mitch McConnell has to say.
Is there objection?
Reserving the right to object.
The Republican leader.
Mr. President, my colleagues wants to discuss precedents from a decade ago. But he and his colleagues have spent all year boasting that what Democrats are doing to the country and the economy is completely without precedent. I agree. What they're trying to do is completely without precedent. There's nothing normal about Democrats using reconciliation multiple times to blow a $5.5 trillion hole in the deficit without a single vote from our side. Debt limit increases like the one we saw in 2006 were not, I repeat, not precursors to a massive blowout reconciliation package that Republicans were just waiting to shove down Democrats' throats. My colleague is trying hard to make this complicated. It's actually simple. I've said for more than 2 months that we will not help this unified Democratic government raise the debt ceiling. Democrats will not get bipartisan help borrowing money so they can immediately blow historic sums on a partisan taxing and spending spree. The Democrat leader knew this request would fail. There is no chance the Republican conference will go out of our way to help Democrats conserve their time and energy so they can resume ramming through partisan socialism as fast as possible. This Democratic government has spent months boasting about the radical transformation they're ramming through. They're proud of it. They have no standing whatsoever to ask 50 Republican senators to make the process more convenient. When the Democratic leader was recently in the minority, he made us file cloture on matters that weren't 1/10 this controversial. We had to invoke cloture on nominees who went on to be confirmed with literally 0 votes in opposition. But now the Democratic leader wants us to skip that step on something this controversial. Of course, that's not going to happen. All year long, Democrats have wanted to control government spending all on their own. They wanted to be in the position they're in right now. They requested from the parliamentarian and won extra flexibility to redo reconciliation. So if Democrats want to use fast-track party line processes to spend trillions of dollars and transform the country, they'll have to use the same tool to raise the debt ceiling. Now, here's what Republicans will do. For the sake of the full faith and credit of our country, I'm about to propose a different consent, one that will allow Democrats to start the budget process they will need to use to raise the debt ceiling. Our Democratic colleagues will need to do this alone, but I'll propose an agreement to ensure the process can begin as soon as Democrats accept that this is the path they need to take. Therefore, Mr. President, I ask the Senate to modify the request that has been made by the majority leader so that in lieu of this proposal, if the Budget Committee reports out a 304 budget resolution with instructions to raise the debt limit or is discharged from consideration of such resolution, the Senate proceed to its immediate consideration.
Does the majority leader so modify his request?
Reserving the right. The Republican leader has offered virtually nothing. He keeps the same risky process in place. He is totally doing a 180-degree turn from what he has offered time and time again. Democrats vote yes without any Republican help, but he refuses to do that. He refuses to do that. Our proposal is fair. Our proposal is not risky the way the Republican leaders is, and his doesn't change a darn thing.
Well, there you have it, folks. Republicans and Democrats can't get along. Imagine that. I almost need to take this sign down. United as one. It's almost like they see things completely differently. They do not see things the same way at all. I almost can't even look at this light shining on my face. I can't even. It's befuddling to me. It's absolutely crazy. I almost feel like they're going to let the country default. Now we have some time. I mean, October 18th is away. I feel like we're going to have a government shutdown. Remember, the shutdown and the default are different. The shutdown is October 1st or September 30th at midnight. It's absolutely insanity. It's insanity. I'm at a loss for words, man. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And when Mitch McConnell says that the Democrats are going to blow a $5.5 trillion in the deficit, it's just not true. He's acting like this $3.5 trillion. Where does he even come up with $5.5 trillion? The $3.5 trillion, he's acting like none of it's paid for. Where does he even come up with $5.5 trillion? The entire package is paid for, or maybe there'll be a small sliver of it's not paid for. Where does he even come up with $5.5 trillion? I mean, we've heard time and time again from the Democrats that this package is going to be paid for. Where does he even come up with this stuff? I don't know, man. It's just it's like they're seeing things from completely different lenses. They're just seeing things from completely different points of views. Just a fully Republican point of view and a fully Democratic point of view. I feel like I'm proud to say I'm not from either party. And remember that this debt limit ceiling is for past debts. They have to do this just to pay for the past debts, just to pay the interest on the past debts. Before we even spend a dollar of any new money, we have to do this just to pay the past debts. I don't know, guys. You tell me, man. You think they're going to come to an agreement? Remember, the Democrats can do this on their own, which is what it seems like they're going to have to do. And really, we're off to the races. Can the Democrats do it in time? Do you think the bipartisan infrastructure package is going to pass on Thursday? Yeah, we're going to have a lot of questions answered here soon. I'll keep you up to date. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. New videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll get through this here together on our show. Yeah, you can click this video here to watch my newest stimulus check video next. And this video teaches you how to start your own business selling products on Amazon. I've had dozens of students that have replaced their 9-to-5 income selling products on Amazon, and I teach them how to do that. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.